The minute I saw the police cruisers, my blood ran cold. My hands, still numb from gripping the steering wheel for 7 straight hours, clenched into fists. I hadn't even parked yet. Just pulled onto the dusty gravel drive leading to my cabin, when I saw her. HOA Karen, her face a contorted mask of self-righteous fury, was pointing at me. At my property. That's him, she shrieked, her voice cutting through the thick, pine-scented air. He's the one. He's trespassing. I killed the engine. The sudden silence deafening. A part of me wanted to laugh at the sheer absurdity of it all. Trespassing. On the land my grandfather had built with his own 2 hands. The land he'd gifted to me. But the other part of me, the part that had dealt with Karen's brand of entitled nonsense for years, felt a familiar, simmering rage. My head began to pound. "Officer," I said, stepping out of the truck. "I own this land." The younger officer, looking thoroughly uncomfortable, held up a hand. "Sir, can you please remain calm? We're just trying to figure out what's going on." Karen, sensing a sliver of victory, stepped forward. "Officer, he's lying. He hasn't been here in 6 months." I saw the perfect opportunity to let my friend, Carol, use the place. It was just sitting here, a complete eyesore. And frankly, a violation of HOA bylaws. She gestured wildly towards my cabin, a place I had poured every ounce of my savings and soul into, transforming it from a rustic shell into a home. My jaw tightened. A violation. The only violation I saw was her friend's dingy couch sitting on my porch. A floral nightmare against my carefully chosen forest green siding. That's when I noticed Carol. She was peeking out from behind Karen, her eyes wide with a mix of fear and defiance. I had met Carol once, briefly, at a community potluck. She'd seemed perfectly nice, if a little timid. Now, she was a squatter, complicit in this bizarre act of territorial theft. "Carol," I said, my voice dangerously low. "What are you doing here?" She flinched. But it was Karen who answered, stepping in front of her like a human shield. "She's my guest. And frankly, it's a good thing she was here. This place is a fire hazard. The weeds are out of control. And that dilapidated shed is an absolute disgrace." I took a deep breath, trying to steady myself. The absurdity of her claims, the audacity of her actions. It was all too much. I looked at the officers, a flicker of understanding in their eyes. They'd clearly dealt with HOA Karens before. But this was different. This wasn't just a neighborly dispute over a lawn gnome. This was a hostile takeover. "Officer, let me be clear," I said, pulling out my phone. "I have deeds, titles, and tax records showing full ownership of this property. My grandfather left it to me. He died here, in this very cabin. Do you understand?" The older officer nodded slowly. "We understand, sir. We've seen the paperwork. But she has a signed lease agreement." "A signed what?" My stomach dropped. Karen smirked, a cruel, triumphant smile spreading across her face. "That's right. Carol and I signed a lease. She's paying me rent. Of course. It's all perfectly legal." My mind reeled. How could she possibly have a lease for my property? Unless. A cold dread began to creep up my spine. The last time I'd been here, a few months ago, I'd left a spare key hidden under a loose floorboard on the porch, a trick my grandfather had taught me. I looked at the floorboard. It was slightly ajar. She hadn't just trespassed. She had broken in. You broke into my home, I said. The words barely a whisper. The smile on Karen's face faltered. I did no such thing. The door was unlocked. You left it unlocked. Carol, however, looked away. Her silence a damning admission. Suddenly, a new voice cut through the tension. What's going on here? It was my grandmother. Her cane tapping rhythmically on the gravel as she approached from the backwoods. She'd been staying with a friend nearby. And the sirens must have caught her attention. Her eyes, still sharp as a hawk's, took in the scene, the police, the officers, Karen's scowling face, and Carol, who now looked as if she wanted the ground to swallow her whole. Mimi, I said, relief washing over me. They're trying to take the cabin. My grandmother's gaze landed on Karen. A flicker of recognition and something darker in her eyes. Ah. Karen. So you're still up to your old tricks. Karen recoiled. I don't know what you're talking about. My grandmother ignored her. Her focus now on Carol. Carol, she said, her voice surprisingly gentle. Did you tell her about the key? Carol's head snapped up. She looked from my grandmother to Karen. A silent plea in her eyes. It was clear now. Carol wasn't just Karen's friend. They were family. Karen's daughter. Maybe. I didn't know it was his. Carol stammered. Her voice thick with tears. Karen said it was hers. Her old place. The lie unraveled. Karen's face went white. She lunged forward, trying to grab Carol's arm. But my grandmother was faster. She stepped in front of Carol. A steely look of protectiveness on her face. Don't you touch her, she said. Her voice a low rumble. You've done enough damage. My grandmother then turned to the officers. Officer, this is a family matter. My granddaughter's not a squatter. She's Karen's daughter. And Karen has been emotionally manipulating her for years. I have proof. A wave of shock rippled through everyone. Carol. Karen's daughter. Karen had never mentioned a child. The younger officer looked at the older one, who was now staring intently at Karen. Is this true, ma'am? He asked. Karen was speechless. Her bravado completely shattered. My grandmother continued. Her voice filled with a powerful, raw emotion. Karen came here after a bad divorce. And my son, her ex-husband, gave her a place to stay, not this cabin. But she thought she was entitled to everything. She's been trying to get her hands on this property since the day my son died. The older officer cleared his throat. Ma'am, we have the signed lease agreement right here. It's for this property. And it's signed by a K. Davises and a C. Davises. He looked at Karen. Is your last name Davis? Karen, who was now trembling, nodded. The officer then looked at Carol. And is yours as well? Carol. Her shoulders slumped. Gave a small, defeated nod. A tense silence hung in the air, broken only by the sound of a distant bird. The police officers exchanged a glance. Okay. Ladies. Let's go down to the station. We need to sort this out. Karen's face crumpled. The self-important, arrogant persona she had so carefully constructed fell away, revealing a desperate, broken woman underneath. The fight was gone. The grand show of righteous indignation had come crashing down, built on a foundation of lies and manipulation. As the police led her and Carol to the cruisers, Carol looked back at me. Her eyes filled with a mixture of apology and relief. I just gave her a small, understanding nod. Later that day, As the sun began to set, my grandmother and I stood on the porch. A quiet calm settling over the cabin. She sighed. A long, weary exhalation that seemed to carry the weight of years. Some people, she said softly, just can't stand to see others happy. They think if they can't have it, no one can. The police had gone. And Carol had called. Her voice still shaky. To apologize. She explained everything, the years of emotional abuse. The way Karen had convinced her the cabin was their rightful inheritance. And the constant lies. I finally walked inside my cabin. The scent of pine and old wood welcoming me home. The space felt different now. Cleansed of the negativity that had tried to take root. As I looked around, I realized this wasn't just about a cabin. It was about standing up for what was right. For protecting a legacy. And for exposing the truth. No matter how messy it was. It made me wonder. How many other people out there are dealing with their own Karen? How much pain is caused by people who believe they are entitled to everything? Do you think there's a way to truly defeat them? Or is the best we can do just to stand our ground and reclaim what's ours? What do you think is the right thing to do?